Hi there. We're going to have a quick look at wraps now. Wraps are the outer waterproof layer that go around the outside of the nappy, obviously inside the baby's clothes, and what they do is they form a layer that stops any moisture from coming out onto the baby's clothes or beyond. And the sort of traditional wraps that we stock, which is the vast majority of the wraps that we stock, are polyurethane, which is the sort of plasticky feeling fabric. There we go, that's a nice bright colourful range of wraps. If you have a look on the inside of them, there they've got that plasticky kind of feel, and you heard as I opened it up they sound a little bit plasticky too. But on the outside they've got a much nicer kind of fibre fabric-y feel. I can show you on that one. So they're not as nasty feeling as the old plastic wraps of old that were a little bit like shower caps. The other two fabrics that we do our wraps in is you have a wool wrap here, and this is from Baby Behinds. This is made out of 100% sheep's wool, and it has to be treated with lanolin very briefly. It's a simple process where you put a little pea-sized bit of lanolin into some water and submerge the wrap in it for a period of time, but there are full instructions on our website on how to do that. So that gets treated with lanolin, and the other one is the fleece wrap here. Now these two fibres are really breathable. They're obviously a lot more porous than the polyurethane fibre, and because of that they mean that you get a lot of heat and moisture coming out in tiny particles into the atmosphere, keeping it nice and dry and cool within the wrap, which is obviously a lovely, comfortable feel for your baby within his or her nappy. So those are the two sort of slightly different fabrics that the wraps do come in. But back to the polyurethane, it is the most common form of wrap, and the reason for that is that it's a very effective waterproof barrier. The main two types of wrap are differentiated by how they fasten. And what you've got here is a Velcro wrap, same as you get on the nappies, and here you have a popper wrap, again similar to what you have on the nappies. I just want to quickly run through the way that the fastener affects the performance. With a Velcro fastening wrap or an applique, one of the really nice things about it is because you've got a nice broad strip of the Velcro here, you can fasten it fairly wide to fit a slightly bigger baby, or you can fasten it right in for a really slim fit. And a lot of the wraps that we sell, you'll find, have got what they call a crossover tab, so that this tab here can go pretty much all the way to the edge of that strip, and still, because there's a little bit of applique on the outside, you can fasten it down there. So the difference in fastening, it's a little bit wonky because I haven't done it quite right, but the difference in fastening between that smallest bit and that biggest is obviously really big. Now that's got two benefits. The first one obviously is that you're going to get a nice range of fit, so you don't have to keep buying wraps every 5 minutes. The second one is that if you've got it on nice and snug on your baby, it is going to be a good fit, which means it's going to be more leak proof. So that's the applique fastener, and again they're very easy to use. Possible downside is that babies can pull them off quite easily, and most babies will go through a period of experimenting with taking their clothes off. And the second fastener that I wanted to look at was the popper. Now this is a Motherese airflow wrap, and you can see the popper, I think you can see it just there. It's a bit difficult to see the white against the white. That just opens up and closes. And what you have with this wrap is, because you have obviously a little bit of extra fabric on the inside so that the poppers aren't right on the edge, and that would mean that material could quite easily stick through and wet anything around it. What you have is a nice bit of overlap, and this means that as your baby moves you get what they call a bellows action, and you get a little bit of airflow, hence the name, through the wrap, and that means again that you have moisture and heat coming out of the wrap, which keeps it nice and comfortable inside. Another feature of wraps that we need to look at is that up until very recently you could only buy sized wraps. Now with the fitting of a wrap, it's much more important than with the fitting of a nappy, because it has to fit absolutely perfectly to make sure that you're not getting moisture leaking out. What we now have is a few brands which do one size wraps or multi-size. If it's one size, it's like this Bambinex nappy here, where you have 3 rows of poppers. I don't know if you can see them all there. There's the top one, middle one, and underneath there is the bottom one. And all you need to do is fasten the top one down. It'll just take me a second to do this. And again on the other side, top one down. I'm doing it to the bottom to give you the smallest fit. And that then gives you a small sized wrap. You put it on, it's got the appliques fastened there, and again it's got the crossover tabs. And what you can see there is you've just got a slight double layer on the inside, and that means that'll fit for a small baby. And as your baby grows, you unfasten the poppers. Sorry about this. They're very heavy duty poppers to keep everything nicely contained, and that will grow with your baby. With the other one that I'm going to show you, this is a Nature Babies, which works in exactly the same way, but it only has 2 rows of poppers there, so it only fastens down. This one is a small and it'll go to an extra small, and then you get mediums that go down to a small, etc. There's one other element of a wrap that I want to look at, and that's the gusseting. Now it's easiest to show you on this one because you've got the elastic around the leg in white against the pink of the nappy. This is a single gusset, and you just have the elastication going round in one band. And what we have on this nappy here, this wrap here, which is a Motherese wrap, is a double gusset. Now it's not that easy to see because of the detailing of the pattern here, but if you look here, this is the leg seam and it's got a row of elastic there, and you now have another seam round here. So in effect it's almost a bit like a concertina there, and what that does is it means that you minimise gaping holes at the leg because you've got 2 bits of elastication in effect, and it does make for a really nice fit on your nappy. So that's how double gusseting works. Both will work very well. This will work better over some types of nappies, and the single may be better over others. But it does give you just that extra kind of confidence. For instance, if you've got a baby with very slim legs, that's really good because you don't get the gaping. Whereas you can imagine with this wrap, if you have a baby with slim legs, you are going to have a bit of nappy here at the top that's not being covered up by the wrap. One thing to bear in mind is what nappies work best with which wraps. Now obviously all wraps in a brand are designed to be used primarily with the nappies in that brand. So Motherese nappies will go best with Motherese wraps. Totspots wraps will go best around Totspots nappies. However, there are a couple of things to bear in mind. A wrap like this, which is a nice trim fit, with the Velcro fastening and the good leg gussets, will fit really well on a bamboo or a pre-fold or any other nappy that's quite slim fitting. A wrap like this, which has the single gusset and feels a little bit roomier, or like the Airflow, which is a much roomier wrap as well, they'll go better over some of the bigger nappies like the Fluffle or the cotton nappies. And finally, I just want to say, with the brands of wraps, it really is trial and error with what nappy you're using, but we have always found that Motherese wraps outsell all the others. They've been around for years and years and years making these wraps, and they're really lovely. I'm not trying to dissuade you from the other wraps because we only stock things that we found performed very well, but the Motherese wraps we find are very good sellers. So that's everything really I've got to say about wraps, and we're going to look at accessories next. Thanks.